This is Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition, Unfinished Business, Part 7. When we left off, Angela was in a conundrum. Does she tell Q what she knows? Does she resign from the church ministry? Does she keep her mouth shut and risk losing Q's trust and him? If you've watched the bonus episode, then you know that she sought wise counsel from 3 different individuals, and in the end, she's decided to trust God. And Q walked Donovan into a trap, and he folded like a cheap suit. When LJ arrived at Angela's, he looked like the weapons that were formed against him were prospering. Regina said, "Damn, babe, it was like that?" LJ said, "Babe, it was like that." Miss Brenda showed them how to work the intercom system because she needed to go and attend to Angel, who she heard waking up over the baby monitor. So Regina contacted Angela over the intercom upstairs and asked her to come down because LJ had arrived. When Angela came down and LJ recounted the story that Donovan told him, both women were flabbergasted. After a variety of questions and back and forth conversation, Regina asked, "So did you tell him that the baby isn't Roderick's?" LJ asked, "Why would I do that? I haven't seen a DNA test that proves otherwise." Regina said, "You got to be kidding me. You may not have seen a DNA test, but you saw that child with your own 2 eyes just like I did. That boy doesn't look any more like Roderick than the man on the moon does. Roderick is high yellow with coarse hair, crooked teeth, a gap in the front teeth, short, stocky, and all around unattractive. That baby looks just like you. Dark chocolate complexion, curly trendy hair. Heck, the boy even has his laugh and his stature at 8 years old. He is tall." Angela thought to herself, "Actually, he looks like Mr. Andy, and he's Miss Bella's complexion. If anything, he looks like he could be their child." But what she said out loud was, "So, wait, y'all saw him? When? Where?" Regina then told her that morning, her and LJ staked out at Amora's house. They waited until she and Michael came out, and then they followed her to drop him off at school and followed her to work. Then Regina gave Amora about 30 minutes to get settled, and then she went up to her office. Then LJ, picking up the conversation where they had just left off, said, "Do you know how many cases I've had where a baby looks like a man's twin, and then we get the DNA test back, and they're not even related? Without a DNA test, I'm not counting anybody out as that boy's father. Shoot, there could be a whole nother man involved." Angela said, "LJ's right. So, who's giving me Amora's address? Because I'm going to need that." Regina said, "What you about to do, best friend?" Angela said, "Oh, nothing. I just think I may need to have it just in case." Regina provided Angela with all the addresses, the house, the school, and Amora's job. Then, picking up the conversation where they previously left off, Angela asked, "So did Donovan actually see these DNA test results?" LJ said, "Nope. He just took Amora's word for it." Regina said, "Now, why would he do that? That's just dumb." LJ said, "Well, he figured if the baby was Q's, Amora would be tripping and falling over herself trying to find Q. He assumed that she would try to use the baby to get Q back. So he had no reason to question the paternity. He had no vested interest in this baby or this DNA test." Regina said, "But he slept with her. He wasn't even concerned about whether he might be the damn father?" LJ said, "Babe, that man didn't even consider that as a possibility." Angela and Regina just shook their heads. Angela said, "I need to head out. I gotta go pick up Melissa." LJ said, "Yeah, and I gotta get to the hospital. I told Q I was gonna stop by there." Regina said, "Yeah, and I need to do some Vibrantly You work because I'm going home in a few days." LJ said, "As a matter of fact, I'm going home with you. I need to have a conversation with Roderick." When Angela arrived at Melissa's school to pick her up, her first words that she signed after "Hi, Mommy" was, "Are we going to see him?" Angela just chuckled and reminded Melissa, "His name is Q, Mr. Q, sweetheart." Melissa frowned and shook her head no. Melissa asked for her iPad. Angela handed it to her in the back seat, and before she knew it, Melissa was FaceTiming somebody and signing frantically. Angela looked in the rearview mirror and said, "Who are you talking to?" Melissa looked at her and signed, "Him." Angela just shook her head and thought to herself, how did she get his number? When they got home, she had to about wrestle the iPad out of Melissa's hands in order to get her to eat her snack, do her homework, and complete her afternoon routine. Once she was finished, Angela took Melissa to the hospital to see him. When they walked into his room, Melissa made a beeline for Q and immediately picked up where she left off on her conversation from in the car. Angela sat down and enjoyed the show. She watched as her daughter got to know Q better and Q got to know her. Meanwhile, in the waiting room, LJ asked the Queen Mother, "Where is Donovan?" Miss Bella said, "That's what I would like to know. I've been trying to reach that young man all day, and he hasn't answered or returned any of my calls or responded to my text messages." "He know I don't play that." LJ pulled out his phone, called Donovan, and when he answered, he handed the phone to the Queen Mother. Baby, she gave him an earful. And after verifying that he was indeed at home, she and Mr. Andy exited stage left. LJ gave Anya a ride home, and then he headed back to the hotel. When the Queen Mother and Andy arrived, it didn't take long for Donovan to spill all the tea. But of course, in the version that he provided his parents, he and Amora were both intoxicated, and he didn't know what he was doing. And it was all a huge mistake. When Miss Bella said, "What is she doing in Dallas?" Donovan said, "I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out." LJ seems to think that it has something to do with her kid, but I know for a fact that boy is Captain Arrington's. The Queen Mother clutched her pearls because this was the first she heard of a child. She looked at her husband, and Mr. Andy picked up where she left off. "Son, how do you know that her son is Captain Arrington's?" Donovan said, "Oh, because after she had him, she asked me to do a familial DNA test, and the results came back that I wasn't related to him." The Queen Mother said, "Oh, thank God." Andy asked, "And what if you were related to him, son? What would you have done then?" Donovan said, "I would have told Q he had a kid and told him how to contact her. I did my job." Andy and the Queen Mother looked at each other. And LJ said, "What?" "I wouldn't have kept him from his son. I just wouldn't have told him about the other stuff." The Queen Mother said, "Son, I'm concerned." Donovan said, "Medea, as long as she don't tell him about our little slip-up, everything will be fine, trust me." Andy said, "Son, that is not what your mother is talking about. She's talking about this one-sided sibling rivalry between you and Q. Your brothers." Donovan interrupted and said, "Ain't no rivalry, and even if it was, it damn sure ain't one-sided. How many of my girls has Q stolen right from up under me? All of the ones I had. He was done with them when I got a hold of them." The Queen Mother and Andy looked at each other again, and instead of disputing Donovan's version of the account like they usually would, the Queen Mother decided to humor him. She asked him to name all of the girls and or women that he believes Q stole from him. Donovan then proceeded to list every girl he ever liked as a shy kid. Girls who had no idea that he was interested in them. Girls that Q had no interest in. And most of the time, they weren't interested in him either. When his list, which was very long, was finished, there were only two that Q was ever actually involved with. One was a young lady who clearly had a crush on Q since they were small, but Donovan had a secret crush on her. And when Q discovered that Donovan was interested in her after he was already dating her as an 11th grade high school student, Q quickly ended things with her and attempted to have a conversation with a 9th grade Donovan. His little brother went into a full-on rage and sucker punched him. The two got into a huge fight that required both their father and their mother and the next door neighbor to break it up. Both Miss Bella and Andy were shocked when Donovan named Veronica, who he knew full well Q had no idea even knew his brother, and he ended things with her as soon as he found out about their past. And then he made arrangements to get them two in the same place so that they would have an opportunity to rekindle what they previously shared and start over. Andy asked, "Donovan, "Where is Veronica? We haven't seen her in days." Donovan said, "I don't know." Miss Bella said, "What happened, baby?" Donovan said, "Ma, y'all really need to learn how to mind y'all business. Y'all be in our business way too much. We grown men." Miss Bella said, "You better watch your mouth. Clearly, you need me in your business because something is very wrong." Andy said, "Bella, baby, calm down." Donovan said, "No, let her say what she got to say. It's always been me. I'm always the problem." Miss Bella said, "You're not the problem, baby, but there is a problem. How about you just tell us what happened with you and Veronica?" Donovan said, "She rushed up to the hospital when Q got shot and wanted to be by his bedside. Then she tried to call me and talk smack about Angela like she was jealous. And I don't have time for none of that. If a chick want my brother, she could have him. I don't even got the energy to compete with him no more. He won." Andy said, "And that's the secret rivalry that we were talking about. This whole competition is in your head, son." Donovan said, "It's not in my head. I'm not crazy." And then he picked up something and threw it across the room. Miss Bella asked, "Baby, have you stopped taking your medicine?" Donovan said, "I don't need no damn medicine. Ain't nothing wrong with me." Then he picked up a vase and threw it across the room. Miss Bella said, "Oh, dear God, Andy, we're going to have to commit him again." Donovan looked at his mother and said, "Try it. I dare you." And before he knew it, his father knocked his lights out.